there are some pretty significant challenges ahead if PRAGA doesn't secure funding for operations moving forward. The outcome of Friday, which we'll talk about, really threw a little bit of a wrench in the system, but it didn't stop the engine altogether. It's still chugging along. In that they need to secure funding now because the tax implications, whether or not they can impose property taxes on property owners on the Paso Basin, that window has closed. So now they have to pivot a little bit and find another way of securing those funds. Like you're talking about less than 2% of groundwater extracted, which is the majority of the property owners on the basin. The sum of all we use is less than 2%, and then somehow pass along a financial burden onto them to essentially subsidize the continued operations of the largest pumpers, those that really don't seem to care what effect they have on the environment around us. So that initially I perceived as a victory, right? There's this announcement that de minimis pumpers are not going to be charged. That's the word, quote, that we're not going to be charged for the groundwater program. Okay, great. So I even sent out a note to all of our followers, like, hey, thanks for keeping in the fight, and this is great. It looks promising. And then within about a week or so, I dug in on some of the materials that were associated with that as they put together the rate study and other materials that they sent out. And you start seeing some interesting verbiage about that de minimis users aren't going to be charged, or I'm sorry, that we're I wish I could remember the exact verbiage, but we're essentially being charged, but the groundwater agencies that represent us are going to be paying on our behalf. So what that means, very clearly, there's no ambiguity here, is that my property, for example, the amount of water that they would be measuring through evapotranspiration, that's these helicopter flyovers, will be attached to my property as a liability, but someone else is going to pay for it for now, right? Then it's like, okay, pump the brakes.
Right.
Nope. This is first of all, like if you want to go down that road, which I would never ever recommend, like we need to actually have representation in this, right? A huge problem that I want to spend some time on today is that concept of representation. Who's actually making the decisions that affect our properties and our liabilities and our pocketbooks. So I had to re-engage.